Yes, good evening. I want to say hello to everybody. I'm kind of adjusting my chair. I'm bouncing up and down right now. What we're going to do today is this is my oral presentation for my business communications class. I just want to thank um, Dr. Henrahan for her for this opportunity. I think this is an awesome way to um, build some skills needed of using technology, identifying problems, and being able to improve our surroundings within the workplace. I want to give a special thank you to Jane Apolone and Melissa Wilkinson for their interview and helping us to identify some issues and solutions and ways of implementing them. So here's a few of my ideas. I'm going to bring up my PowerPoint slide now. You're going to see it in just a moment. I'm minimizing right now. I got to do a little share screen here. So we're going to do a little share, and we're going to bring it up to reading view. Culture and respect, developing a competitive and motivational environment amongst employees for Matrix Medical Network. I think we got a great opportunity to increase production by gaining more appointments from upper mid-tier employees. Increase production will help make these reps better off financially and improving production from a company as a whole. We're going to discuss a little bit about implementation, risk, and recommendations of what we can do. Productivity, from this standpoint, what we're looking to do is, as I mentioned earlier, increase productivity. The opportunities that we have is a way of closing the gap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show a chart here. What we have is 200 appointment setters or representatives of Matrix Medical Network. The top 35 that you'll see here, these are the ones that hit bonus. And if you'll notice, I got these numbers just basically off an example. I found that looking at data that the top 35 get anywhere from 20 to 30 appointments a day, while the mid to uppers and the mid to lower levels are getting anywhere from maybe 15 to 20 a day. These guys right here account for maybe 160,000 of appointments. I kind of put the mid to lower level just to kind of gauge what we're looking at. But the top 35 right now is up to 175,000 appointments. Now we did almost 500,000 last year, so about 30%. The top 35 does almost about 28 to 30% of the appointments for the entire company. The mid to upper levels, if we can get this to increase to here, that would net maybe 15 to 20,000 more appointments for the company as a whole, and also would increase the pay structure for many of our employees. Now, the main idea, if you want to get an idea of the hourly wage for these, is anywhere from $13.50 to $16.50 an hour, which is roughly 32 to 35K a year. With the bonus, it's about anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000 per year. So there's a potential there of anywhere from 47 to 50,000 a year just with the incentive plan that's being offered. Problem is that it's a bit top heavy. So what we want to do is look at some key success factors and look at some alternatives to help those that are in this tier to kind of get up here so we can increase that. So how do we do that? Well, training only can get so far from our training team that helps. They do a spectacular job and always implementing different strategies when they come in. Oftentimes reps do well when they first come out the gate and then fall off. Because our job's monotonous, we say the same things over and over again. So different situations are handled, but some of our veterans consistently stay up here on a regular basis. So there's some key success factors that we're going to look forward to of how to get this level to here and to kind of level things off and to try to bridge the gap. So the alternatives that we're looking forward to are lunch and learns, live listening, focus on core values, and testimonials. These all have to do with training, accountability, motivation, as well as teamwork. The Lunch and Learns, this is something that Jane had come up with. I think it came through a book club or whatever, but what we want to do is gather a small group of representatives and hold a meeting to be held by one of our senior member relations representatives. This representative will be someone that does well historically throughout the company and bonuses on a regular basis, to hold a class for those that are, and again, those those upper mid tier that aren't there yet, and just have a way of dissecting a couple of different calls, breaking it down, and letting the representative know how that individual would handle the call. And also this will allow those individuals to exchange ideas, ask questions, get them answered. And this is something that employees can do as far as training and being competitive with each other. The live listening aspect, we're already doing this. This basically what the representative does is just listen to one of the senior reps, maybe be for an hour or two, or maybe possibly a half a day, to understand how to handle different situations and different calls. That's basically what live listening is. Focus on core values. That's a big thing that Ed and Jane and all the upper management team focus on. We have it as we walk into the hallway. It's basically called IMPACT, and there's an acronym. But the two things that we want to focus on with this is motivated to innovate and teamwork to build a stronger and always improving organization. But we're talking about teamwork amongst the employees, holding ourselves accountable. Testimonials, this is just a way of having our representatives in a sales environment, especially with a monotonous team environment. I think that being motivated and being centered is an important thing. If you're not motivated, if you're not centered, you're not going to do well with this job. So testimonials on inspiring people to think above what they're doing, above how they're doing the job. Are they engaged with the members that they talk to? And if possibly if they hear testimony about how Matrix has helped them, whether it be a single mom that's doesn't have a college education but is able to provide a good living for her kids, or whatever Matrix has done for the employee outside of the workplace, what continues to get us to walk through that building every day. And I think that's important, because if someone can be inspired by saying, hey, I've just bought my first house, hey, I was able to help out my dad that's not doing too well because of this job, that's why I need to hit bonus so bad, or or getting my son through football, or planning a trip, going on vacation, whatever it is that inspires people outside of the workplace. Say, hey, this is what the job has done for me, this is what I've been able to do. This will definitely be a help to those to try to stay motivated, for those that want it bad enough. So our purpose and strategies with the Lunch and Learn, we basically have already identified the benefits. The risks that come involved with the Lunch and Learn is obviously getting people involved that want to do it. And I think there's plenty of people, because we have a good group of representatives that are willing to be helpful, that will be able to hold these classes. But the thing is that lunch is about a 30-minute lunch. So important thing is to interview those that wouldn't mind dropping in for a Lunch and Learn, but also maybe holding a training session prior to work, maybe 15 to 30 minutes prior to work. And maybe if we're going to do it at lunch, it would have to be an hour. We'd have to dedicate an hour to it. 30 minutes just wouldn't be enough to eat and be able to exchange and bounce around ideas to get the full effect of what we're doing. I think if we decided to do this, to take this idea, but maybe do it in the morning prior to shift, it might be more effective because it serves as a refresher course. So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about is having, maybe if we set a certain goal, a bare minimum that it has to be reached by those that we're trying to train. If they don't hit their minimum requirement, maybe asking them to come in the following morning to identify some ways that what caused them to struggle, and then maybe we can do that in the morning, refresh them, get the ideas flowing, give them some different alternatives to how they manage resistance with the members, and that might be a great idea too. So that's just one way of mitigation, either extending the half-hour lunch and learn to an hour, or possibly doing something a few minutes prior to shift where a class can be held, maybe 15 to 30 minutes before the shift begins. The live listening part, some of the problems that we have with this is that if the representative that's listening to the senior member relations representative has a question about why they had a certain situation happen or why they didn't rebuttal this way or whatever, I think it kind of takes away where they're just sitting there listening. Maybe they're not getting the full effect of that. But however, live listening is an awesome tool because it allows a representative, where they're coming into training or if they're just trying to get some different ideas on how to manage resistance or present what they're selling. I think that if we can possibly take some time to have a pause session where that might be allowed, but due to our high call volume, it makes that difficult. And also if someone's doing a live listen, obviously they're off the phones and they're not producing. But if we can take into account possibly having a float to take the seat of that individual and have some time to pause and say, this is how I handled it, or whatever, maybe that might be a better way to do the live listening, is to come up with reps when that seat is empty, just have someone come in and fill in for that particular individual that is training, so that the company's not dropping it as much in production, but also give some one-on-one time between the rep that's being trained and the senior member relations representative to provide feedback on some individual calls for a half hour or so, or allow some time to answer and ask questions after the live listening is completed. The testimonials part, the mitigation with this is just simply interviewing those individuals that would not mind participating in this. I think that people love to talk about themselves. People like to talk about their successes. And I think if you can get some feel-good stories around, people are always willing to make a presentation about themselves and what the company has done. And that's what we plan on doing. So what do we do now? Well, we got to put together a meeting with some of the top tier reps that Jane would trust to try to implement a strategy, and then interview those that haven't hit bonus in a while, especially some of our senior reps that have been there for 2 to 3 years, and seeing what they're willing to do to get better. So these are some ideas that we're bouncing around with this project, and there will be more to come. Obviously, Jane, I want to thank you guys, and Melissa. We just want to kind of show what Matrix is capable of. So the main idea behind this is to motivate having those that do well to be a mentor to those that aren't doing well. Keeping the production for the top reps that are there, and also bringing those along that haven't hit over that hump yet. So these are some ideas and strategies that we're bouncing around. I want to thank you for listening today, and hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you.